What's up, my people? Welcome back to a Holy Mess podcast. All right, my friends, we all know life can be so difficult and painful at times, especially when we're wrestling with shame about our past, anxiety about our future, or frankly, like we are just not enough. But there has to be so much more for us. There's hope and joy, peace, love, fun, purpose, and a reason that you, my friend, are on this planet. Let's partner with God so you can be who He created you to be as you wrestle through and trudge through your mess. Hi, I'm Danny, a recovering alcoholic, a mom, a wife, a life coach, and dust. We are only here for a moment. Let's live like it. I'm just like you. I'm a holy mess most days. Actually, every day. Let's have some fun and laugh while trudging through our mess. This stuff doesn't need to be dry and boring. Let's dig in. What's up, my friend? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so grateful you are here today. I'm so grateful to be here today. So I want to share a little story and then I have an encouragement for you. So first of all, I hate being tickled. Do not like being tickled, okay? It's just one of those things I do not enjoy. My husband, Gary, hates it as well. Hates being tickled. So let me tell you a quick little story and then I want to share a little insight that I think will encourage all of us. So last night, Gary and I are watching a show. It was just a nice, cozy night. And I was getting up from the couch and I accidentally tickled my husband. Now you have to understand, Gary's a pretty big guy. He hates being tickled and all of the things. And the other thing that you have to understand about Gary is he's a very respecting, amazing human being. Okay, so Gary is one of those humans, if you've ever met him or if you ever do get to meet him, he's one of the most encouraging, kind-hearted, very just awesome guys. He's just very generous, very gentle human being. And Gary's very respecting of humans. He's a very respectable and respecting human being. Okay. So last night, though, Gary kind of lost his mind. And I'll tell you what happened. And I wanted to literally wring his neck. Okay. So I'm getting up from the couch and I accidentally tickle him. And he hates being tickled. He hates it. Okay. He just really hates it. I hate it too. Okay. So he tickles me back. And I'm like, okay, funny, haha, stop. And then he tickled me again. And with a little bit more aggression, and he didn't stop. And I screamed bloody murder. Kenzie came running out, was like, what's going on? What just happened? And I have not had a screaming reaction like that in, I don't know when the last time, probably sometime in the last 6 months when Zach made me mad. I joke with people that really, there's only about 3 people on this planet that can make me scream anymore. And it's my son, my brother, and my husband. I don't know what it is. Kenzie just doesn't trigger me like that. But there's something about one of my brothers, my son, and my husband who just can make me want to scream. Okay. So yes, I'm a life coach still in process. Okay. If you were looking for a guru who doesn't still have issues, you're listening to the wrong podcast. Okay. This is called a Holy Mess podcast for a reason. So I literally screamed. I got angry. I was mad. He felt so bad, immediately felt remorseful and was like, I was just playing, but you're right. You hate it. He just went straight into remorse mode. And of course I couldn't look at him because I was so angry. Do you ever have those moments when you can't make eye contact with somebody because you're just so livid? Gary and I, we do not fight like that. We have come so far in our marriage, almost 25 years now, where we're very respectful when we fight. And if we have a disagreement or an argument, we're respectful about it. We've come so far. So it has been years since I've given him the silent treatment with my eyes where I couldn't look at him. Okay. It's a whole thing. And you know what I'm talking about if you've had a fight recently with a loved one when you just can't look at them. Okay. So that was a whole thing in our marriage early on. And that really hurt Gary when I didn't look at him. And so I've worked through that. And so still have tender eyes, even when we're arguing or having a disagreement. And Gary and I are both very strong people. I know I don't talk about my husband a lot on the podcast, but we're both very strong, opinionated people, but we're also both very respectful of one another because we have a mutual respect for one another. And we've come so far in our marriage. Okay. And if you've got marriage issues, you know how difficult it can be when there's strong personalities in that marriage. And we've come so far. We've worked through so much in our marriage over the years. And I'm so grateful that we are where we are now. And I know that a lot of people have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in their marriage and it doesn't work out and all of that. So anyways, all that to say, 2 very strong individuals in a marriage can be painful or complicated at times. Okay, so then this happened last night. I was livid, like a rush of adrenaline. And by the way, it was like 30 and that's like wind down time, ready to go to bed. It was like one of the rare nights this summer that my children have not had friends over because my kids a lot this summer have had people over a little bit late. So when I can go to bed early, I'm going to bed early because I get up really early. So anyways, adrenaline, anger, and then I went into the shame because I felt bad. I had such a reaction. So this is what I want to share about because I know a lot of us who listen to my podcast are similar to me. And when something happens, you have a big reaction, right? And frankly, I really did not have control of what happened. It just happened in an instant. And I would just went from 0 to 60, like super quick. And honestly, probably a little bit of a trauma response. It's probably from stuff in my history and where, I said no and someone didn't respect that. But now I have my voice. And so I screamed no, right? Okay. And it was just tickling and it was by my loving husband. Okay. So the reaction did not warrant the offense that happened. Okay. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Like sometimes we have really big reactions to things that happen, but we're like, was it really like, did I really need to scream bloody murder because my husband tickled me? And honestly, he was trying to be kind of cutesy and loving with it. But I did not read it that way. My body did not read it that way. So I just reacted very, very big. And so here's all I want to say to you. So number one, if you have a reaction that does not fit the size of the offense that just happened, I just want to offer you some grace and say, it's probably something from your history. It's probably maybe a trauma that you haven't really been able to find complete healing from, or it just could be a reaction because it triggered it. And I don't want to throw around trauma like big T trauma for something, but maybe it really could be holding onto a big T trauma that really hasn't been able to be fully released in your system and all of that. And I've done so much work, inner healing, oh my gosh, mental health therapy, spiritually releasing forgiveness, all the stuff from like traumatizing moments in my history and in my past. But sometimes when something hits me, my body, my reaction, my nervous system still goes straight into fight or flight and just reacts and is just reactive. And let me just tell you, I've worked for years on my nervous system to calm it down so that I can be more responsive and not so reactive. And frankly, I can't even tell you because literally I can't even remember the last time I reacted quite so intensely. So that's good news. Like we are not robots. You guys, as we find healing, we are still going to have moments where we get triggered and we have overreactions or bigger reactions than we'd like to. And you guys, that's part of life and it's okay. It's part of finding grace for yourself. It's part of even being able to laugh at yourself through these situations and just be able to find some grace for yourself and for others, right? Like at the end, I felt really bad because I had such a reaction and then that affected Gary and then I made him feel bad and all the things, right? We worked through it. We're fine. We're great. And Gary knows, sometimes if I have a big reaction, it's not necessarily because of what he did in that moment. It's because of something that my nervous system is still working itself out around, right? Okay, so grateful for a loving, amazing husband who was helpful in this situation. I will say the caveat that if you don't have a supportive partner, it can be more difficult. So I send you a lot of love and grace if that's not your situation, because it can be hard. It's hard even with a supportive partner. And so when a partner is not supportive, it is tenfold as hard. Okay. But you can still find healing and serenity and peace within yourself, right? Like this is what the goal is all about. And so I just want to encourage you, if you have reactions to things that are bigger than the offense, there's some stuff going on, right? And for all of us. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, and this has been swirling around in my head for quite some time, is that I used to think because of my big reactions and because of these things that still kind of potentially affected me, that I was still broken and that, man, these are just places that are never going to be fixed and I'm always going to be broken. And I kind of had this narrative that I was just broken, even though I'd done all this work on myself and inner healing and forgiveness and redemption and work through so much to heal my relationship with God, so much to work on my relationship with myself and forgive others and forgive myself and all that, right? But I just still felt broken. And something triggered in me about a decade ago, maybe a little bit less than a decade, where I realized, you know what? I've been broken and things in my life have broke me, but fundamentally and foundationally and even theologically, I am not broken. And I will challenge you and say you are not broken either. Like, have you been broken? Yes. Have things happened? Yes. But that doesn't mean that you're a broken piece of junk or that God is not holding all of those broken pieces in the palm of his hand and that you're actually not broken. I would say, and I want to offer the option for us all to believe today that we're actually not broken, that we're actually buried under the grief or the trauma or the hardships that we've been through, right? So, like, this is what this whole healing and kind of recovering from life, this is what it's all about, you guys. It's recovering those places that were broken, but not broken like thrown away, lost, or broken like a piece of junk that you get rid of. Broken in a way that actually can be built back together and actually be stronger and more productive and more useful than ever. So there's this whole concept. I talk about it in my programs, but and I think I've talked about it on the podcast, but there's this, the art of Kintsugi is a Japanese art form and it is beautiful. And if you ever get your hands on a piece of art of Kintsugi, I actually want to buy an art piece of Kintsugi from Japan. That's something I want in my house. I've looked at pieces before, but I haven't quite found the right piece. But the art of Kintsugi, how it works is pottery in Japan that is broken. Sometimes even the artist will break it on purpose. And then they glue it back together with glue and a special kind of glue and gold flecks. And it actually makes the piece more valuable than it was in its original state. Right. So like this piece of ceramic that came from the manufacturer, could be worth X amount of dollars. But then if an art of Kintsugi artist gets its hands on it and it glues it back together with these gold flecks, not only because of the gold flecks that are put in the glue, but literally who the artist is that glues it back together, ups the value of that piece of art. And it's gorgeous. The value is in how they're glued back together. Like the values, the art of Kintsugi, like it's from the artist who did the art piece, right? And you guys, that is how we have to look at the broken pieces of our life, where God, first of all, theologically, he holds every broken piece that you've ever been through, all the things that you think broke you. God's holding all of those shattered pieces. And as we do this recovery work, as we do this healing work, as we do this uncovering and becoming who we were created to be, even with our story and with the hard things we've been through, it's like God is the artist who's gluing us back together like a piece of art of Kintsugi. He's the artist, so that's what makes us valuable. And he's gluing it together with specks of gold. And it actually makes the piece stronger. And it's an art piece and it's a masterpiece and it's put up for decoration and it's just valuable. And so there's a scripture in Ephesians 2:10. It talks about how we are God's masterpiece is the Greek word. It's only used twice in the New Testament. Romans, where it talks about God's creation being his masterpiece. Like, look at the sunrise. That's a masterpiece. Look at the sunset. That's a masterpiece. Look at yourself in the mirror. That's a masterpiece. It's the same Greek word that is used in the New Testament, talking about the sunrise and the sunset and the beauty of God's creation being the same as it is for you. Like, you are God's creation. You are God's masterpiece. And you guys, this is where we've got to begin to kind of fight for that, continue to fight for that lens and that narrative, that even the hardest things that we've been through are the things that still affect us, right? Like I had this huge reaction, right? But that's part of my story. It's part of who I am. And it's part of the places where God is still healing me and he's using it for good. Because like even last night, I got to sit down and talk with my kids and be like, man, some of this stuff still, it's just my nervous system and I've got this reaction. And I've been talking to my kids a lot about their nervous systems because as a life coach, I have found over the last 5 years working with humans that a lot of, especially in Christian culture, we do a lot of spiritual healing, we do a lot of head healing, mental health, but the holistic approach, like the physical healing, and I don't just mean like, man, you got a bum knee, let's pray for healing. I'm talking about nervous system healing, right? Like really being integrated in our bodies and having peace within ourselves, in our skin, right? Like this is what it's all about. And so all my programs now include a nervous system kind of reset and how to take care of our nervous systems and how to bring healing holistically to ourselves and how to recover our nervous system and how to make it more in line with how we want to react and respond to things. And yeah, do things still come up? Absolutely. But those are opportunities, those are lessons, those are moments where we get to practice bringing healing and bringing peace to ourselves. And so I was talking with a client earlier this week, and it's really interesting. She was saying, I've never been able to step into the light and just be me without all of this stuff. Right. And so, like, this is why I'm here. This is why we're doing this work, because you guys, we want to be able to step into the light, fully us, and not necessarily bring all the baggage from the past like a weight that's holding us down, but more like an empowering way to step into the present and step into our future, right? With all the wisdom and all the grace and all the love and compassion that we've experienced. And so, I know a lot of us, and my client was saying how she feels like she's lived according to what her parents wanted and then according to what her husband wanted, but she's never really been able to fully live fully into who she wanted to be and who she is. And she's really she's found herself, but yet she's trying to find the deeper, more authentic version of herself that's not held down by all the baggage of the past, right? And so it's interesting because this whole concept of really stepping into who we were created to be, you guys, it's like a holistic approach. And I just want to encourage you that the things that broke you, quote unquote, I want us to begin to look at them like they didn't break us like we're a piece of junk, but they actually buried us. They buried the truest essence of who we actually are, right? And what do I mean by that? Like the grief, the trauma, the shame, it's like a layer of dirt after every hard thing that happened to you. It was just like a layer of dirt was thrown on you, and another layer of dirt, and another layer of dirt. And sometimes we get to this place where like we're just ready to like grab a shovel with the Lord and like dig ourselves out and really own who we are and own our future and own what we want to do on this planet. And sometimes we don't know what that is. We just know that it's more, right? And so I just want to give you permission. If you're feeling that, man, I just want to continue digging myself out and I just want to step into the more of life. I want to encourage you, keep going. Don't lose heart. When things happen and you see yourself go back 3 steps like I did last night and I kind of overreacted, man, initially I just had this like wave of shame and I just felt bad for my reaction, and then I was numb. If you have a big reaction and then you just kind of go numb, if you know what I'm talking about. And a lot of us, we have had big reactions for a long time and then we just kind of live in a state of numb. And we're just like, man, I want to feel joy. I want to feel more than what I'm feeling. I don't want to just feel all the funky emotions. I actually want to feel peace and joy and contentment and all of that. And so I want to offer you the opportunity to just, first of all, take a deep breath. If you have big reactions, welcome to the club. Okay. I think there's a lot of us out there that have big reactions, and it doesn't mean that you're fundamentally or foundationally broken. And, for a lot of years, like I said, I just felt super broken. And when I learned about the art of Kintsugi, I really was able to buy into, oh, God's taken those broken pieces and he's putting me back together and he's gluing me and I'm going to be stronger than ever. And that is, I will say, ultimately, that is true. That is absolutely true. But then I moved into this phase of life like, okay, I'm not broken. I'm just buried and I'm just trying to uncover and be who I was created to be. And then I felt like, well, maybe I'm just a riddle. I'm like a riddle to be solved. And I was talking to a client this week, actually, and I was like, you're in the riddle part of life because you're still trying to figure out what are the tools, what are the practices that help you empower you, right? And how do you learn boundaries and what are boundaries? I know some of us are still trying to figure out like, we feel guilty when we put up any healthy boundaries, right? But that's just, the people pleasing nature with which we were raised, right? That's not necessarily a foundational truth. Like boundaries are actually healthy. They help you empower you, right? So that you can actually be doing what you're actually called to do. Where if we have no boundaries and we just say yes to everything, it's impossible to be saying yes to the actual right things, right? And so I had to learn boundaries, and I had to learn that, yeah, even if I felt guilty putting up boundaries, that doesn't mean that that guilt was even rightly placed because, boundaries are healthy and holy, and God uses boundaries to protect us and to guide us into where we're going. And so, but this is where you're kind of in that place of like, okay, I'm a riddle. I'm a riddle to be solved. And I need to figure out what tools and what practices and what people I need in my life and who's speaking into my life and who do I need to put up boundaries because maybe their theology makes me feel shame and maybe it's not actually accurate, or maybe it doesn't make me feel good about myself, or maybe there's certain people that don't make me feel good about me. and all of that, right? Because God, through his loving kindness, leads us to himself through gentleness and love and kindness and yes, truth and all of that. But it's like you got to be able to feel it out, right? And some of us, we feel far from God, right? We feel like we've done too much or like we're just trying to connect and it's like a miss and we don't really feel as close to God as everybody else, quote unquote, does and all of that. And sometimes you guys, it's because these sacred parts of us have been buried. And because we haven't really learned or attuned how to feel that closeness to God and how to really foster that because we've only been taught shame or guilt or whatever in our relationship with God. And so if that's where you're at too, I just want to send you a ton of love because that's a hard place. It's not an impossible place to grow from God. That's where I grew because I felt this distance because of kind of the shame and the wreckage of life that was buried over me. And so as I was able to free through the love of God, it really did help me and empower me. And the closer that I grew to this loving relationship with God, the closer, honestly, I became to accepting and loving myself, right? And I think it goes hand in hand. The closer that we can accept and love ourselves, the closer we really can understand the grace and the gift of God because you're his creation, you're his fingerprint, you're his image, right? And so I just want to encourage you, like, God is not done. He may be gently uncovering you right now, not to shame you, but to restore you and to empower you. And so like I said, I went from this like, okay, I was broken. And then I was like, wait a minute, no, I'm buried. And then maybe I am like a riddle to solve. And now I've landed in this place of I'm an experience to live. And I didn't make that phrase up. I don't know who made it up, but I love it. Someone said to me a long time ago, Danny, you're not a problem to solve. You're not even a riddle to solve. You're an experience to live. And I just thought, gosh, that is gorgeous. And I want to say the same thing to you, my friend. You are not a problem to solve. You're not even a riddle to figure out. You are an experience to live. And that goes hand in hand with that Ephesians 2:10 scripture about you being God's poyama, you being God's masterpiece. Poyama means like poem. Like you are his poem to this world. And if you've ever read a beautiful poem, a lot of beautiful poems have some pain in it too, and beauty and the whole experience of life. And so I want to encourage you from the bottom of my heart that number one, I want to just say, you're not broken. You've been through some stuff. You've you've been broke, like you've been hurt, but you're not broken. You're not fundamentally or foundationally broken. Okay. I would even challenge you that, yeah, there's some things to figure out, but you're not even a riddle to solve. There's nothing to be solved about you. In fact, you you're already solved, right? Just by being who you are. Intrinsically, the value of who you are is because of your presence and your being. And you are literally a poem from God to this world. You're a masterpiece. And so I want to encourage you because I know a lot of us, especially who listen to my podcast, like we're reading books, we're doing all the therapy, we're doing the self-help, we're doing all the things, right? People hire me. And I always tell people, like, I'm not here to fix you. I'm here to help you birth the essence, the deepest essence of who you are. Like, I'm here to help you birth who you were and who you are before the world took its pound of flesh out of you, before that pain and suffering kind of began to define you, right? And this is not about fixing. This is about receiving. This is about receiving truly the gift of you to yourself. And that's foundationally and fundamentally my passion and why I'm here. And so I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so grateful that you're listening to the podcast. There is a lot of processing to do within this, but more than anything, you know what I give my clients? I give them permission. Permission because I needed permission. I needed permission to be me. I needed permission to find the healing and to step into, quote unquote, my power, step into who God made me to be. And you guys, there are going to be a lot of people out there that are going to try and hold you down and keep you back and remind you of your past and throw all this. But you know what? Other people's opinions of you is none of your business. At the end of the day, all that matters is that you're right with your creator, that you're right with yourself. Because I say this all the time and I mean it from the depths of my soul. The only two relationships that matter the most is your relationship with God and your relationship with you. Because those are the only relationships that go with you from birth to death. And yes, are other relationships important? 100%. I want you to have other relationships, solid, great relationships. But if you can get these two relationships right, everything else just works itself out. And the right people that are supposed to be in your life are going to be drawn to you. And the ones that are not are going to flee from you. And honestly, there's a There's purpose for that. There's people in your life that are supposed to be here for a lifetime. There are people in your life that are supposed to be here just for a reason and just for a season. And let me just tell you, those seasonal friends, let them go. Let them go, because God has other people to draw to you and to allow in your life to empower you, to love you, to embrace you. You guys, I hear this all the time, but I know that we just want to be the best versions of ourselves. And I want to, as you're listening to my podcast, give you permission to step into that. And yeah, it takes some work, and yeah, you got to shovel some stuff out, but also you have to continue to choose to show up for yourself and continue to receive and to embrace all that God has for you in this season. And so wherever you are, I guess the biggest thing I want to say to you, that if you're still having big reactions, you're not broken. It's okay. You're just human. You're still affected by your past. That's okay. I've been doing this work for how long now, and I'm still affected. And it's okay. It doesn't control me anymore. It just affects me now. That's the difference. And that's where we want to get, where we're not controlled by the tyranny of what happened in the past. But if it affects us, it's okay. That just means we're human. That's the human experience. And frankly, I don't want to be delivered from my human experience. I want to be delivered from the trauma and the drama and the pain, but not the human experience. I want to live to the fullness. I want to feel joy. I want to feel it all. I want to be here for it all. And I want to step into what God has for me. And I know you do too, or you wouldn't be listening to a Holy Mess podcast. So I'm so grateful you're here. Just remember, you're not broken. You're not a riddle to solve even. You are an experience to live. If you want help living your experience, if you want help stepping into this next season, book a discovery call with me. I've got some slots open for my coaching program, The Third Act, helping people really build what is next and embrace what is next for them in their third act, so to speak. And a lot of people don't even know what that is. They just know they're ready for it. So you don't have to know what it is. This is why you hire a coach. This is why you work with a coach, so that I can ask the right questions, hopefully, and help you birth that, right? And so if you have questions, book a discovery call. I'd love to connect. I love connecting with my listeners of the podcast. It's one of my sweetest joys. We've got people from all over the world listening, and just a shout out to my faithful listeners. If this is your first episode, welcome to the podcast. If this blessed you, please stick around, listen to some more. And if this is your 200th episode, welcome back. I'm so grateful you're here. I literally am so grateful for this community. I'm so grateful for what God is doing, and just for you being a part of this and for me being a part of it. I love this. We're all in this together. So may God bless you. Let me say a little prayer over you. Father, thank you that you bless us in our human experience, and that it's not about just being delivered and fixed and healed from all of it, God, but that you actually empower us even in the brokenness, God, and that we are not fundamentally or foundationally broken, Lord, but that you are holding every piece, God, and you're gluing it back together with your mighty grace and love to be magical arts of Kintsugi on this planet, as a display of your grace and of your love and of your compassion and even of your power, God. Thank you for your goodness. Thank you for your abundance. Thank you for my friend listening. Thank you for the parts in their life, Lord, that you are still gluing back together. And Lord, thank you for their futures. I pray you'd bless them, protect my friend, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. All right, you guys, if you want to book a discovery call, click a link in the show notes and schedule that. I'd love to connect with you. God bless you, and I'll see you in a few days.
Hello, my friend. If this episode blessed you, made you laugh, or triggered you, hey, that's growth. Please do me a favor and share this with a friend. And if you feel led, please leave a written review for the show. That really helps us out. Don't forget, you are in good company if you're feeling more broken than you'd like to admit. And you are more loved than you can ever imagine. Have a great week. See you next time.